Hi, welcome back to McClutchy Maths. I'm Natalie McClutchy and we're on our final video on our quadratic series about using algebra in quadratic form. We're going to be using the quadratic formula that we developed in our previous video. Now, if you found that video very technical and difficult to follow because there was lots of algebraic techniques going on, well, you'll probably find this video much better because it's all about substitution today. Now, if you want to engage further with us here at McClutchy Maths, here's how you can go about that. You could like and subscribe. You could say thanks by hitting the little love heart button and donating $2 with your secure and confidential PayPal account. You could tell someone about the video or even consider sharing it on your OneNote or even tell us in the comments if you found the video helpful. Well, you'd remember from our last video that our quadratic formula looks like this. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And it was tricky to come up with that. Okay, someone was a genius once upon a time. Okay. Now we can use this formula to solve any quadratic equation whatsoever, ones with decimals, ones with fractions, and so on. But we cannot do it when a is equal to 0. So if a is equal to 0, that means on the denominator here we're going to be dividing by 0, and that will give us an impossible solution on our calculator. So we're not going to do that. Now, what we call this information under our square root sign is something called the discriminant. Okay, so this is an important thing to remember as well. The discriminant gives us some clues about the number of solutions that we are going to find when we solve this. And we recognize that the discriminant, we can, rather than saying discriminant, it's a big long word, hard to spell for some people. So we're going to use this little triangle symbol to describe what's under the square root sign. So if I've got a negative number under the square root sign, then there's going to be no solutions. You can't take the square root of a negative number. So that means the quadratic formula is not going to help you. If the number under the square root sign is a 0, then that means the square root of 0 is 0. So simply, if we just block that out with our finger, the discriminant's value is going to be negative b over 2a, which means we're only going to have one solution for x. And it's just going to be this one here, this number divided by this number. And then if we've got something here that's a positive number, we'll end up with two solutions. And this happens when we graph it. So if I'm graphing a quadratic, we know it forms like a smiley face or a frowny face. If I have no solutions, that means on my x-axis here, I've got the quadratic sitting above the line. It doesn't actually pass through x, so there's no values for x that will satisfy the equation. It can still exist, but it's just got no x solutions. If I've got one solution, it means that that quadratic just touches it in one place and then bounces back in the other direction. And two solutions means it passes through the x-axis in two places. Okay, so in worked example 1, we're just going to be using that discriminant to determine the number of solutions for m squared plus 5m take away 3. Now we know that the quadratic's in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is equal to 1. B is equal to 5, C is equal to negative 3, be careful with those negative numbers. And we're simply going to substitute that into our discriminant, b squared take away 4ac. So we're going to substitute that in, b squared is 5 squared, a is positive 1 times by negative 4, and c is negative 3. So we've got to do this carefully. We've got negatives times negatives makes positives. So we've got 25 times plus positive 12 makes 37. Now, because I've got a positive number, that means there are two solutions because the discriminant is greater than 0. Okay, now this time we're not going to worry about the discriminant so much. We're told to solve this using the quadratic formula and to leave that answer in exact surd form, which when we get to that answer, that will make more sense. So in other words, we're not sticking it in the calculator and getting decimal places. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to find my variables for the formula. A is the coefficient of k squared, B is the coefficient of k, and C is the constant. Okay, so now I'm going to put that into the formula. And this is where we need to be careful because we've got negatives and positives. Okay, so B goes out the front. It's a negative number. Negative negative makes a positive. Plus or minus the square root of, and then we've got this negative 2 all squared. Remember, negative 2 squared means negative 2 times negative 2, which will make a positive number. So knowing these things is useful. Then we've got negative 4 times 2 times negative 1. Lots of negatives going on here. And 2a, 2 times 2 on the denominator. Let's evaluate that a little bit further. So now I've got negative 2 squared makes positive 4. Negative 4 times 2 makes negative 8 times negative 1 makes positive 8. So now I've got 4 plus 8 here. 2 times 2 is just 4. And we know 4 plus 8 is equal to 12. So I've got 2 plus or minus the square root of 12. Now I know from my surds playlist that I can simplify the surd root 12, okay, because it is made up of 3 times 4. So I can take the square root of 4 and put it out the front, so it'll be 2 root 3. So looking there we go. Now there is a common factor between 2 root 3 and 4. The common factor is 2, so I'm going to divide everything by 2. So 2 becomes 1, 2 root 3 divided by 2 becomes root 3, and the denominator is now 2. I've left that in exact form. This plus or minus means I could break that out into 1 plus root 3 over 2 and 1 minus root 3 over 2, and I still get to the same solution. This time we're going to actually use our calculators. Okay, so we just remember the difference between our exact surd form. It'll tell us that there. That's exact form. Calculators means we're actually going to punch numbers in. Okay, so once again, I'm going to recognize that this is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So a equals 3, b equals 15, c equals 2. Let's get our formula and substitute in. So now I've got negative 15, there's my substitution there, plus or minus the square root of 15 squared, take away 4 times 3 times 2 divided by 2 times 3. Okay, let's simplify this a little bit further. So 15 squared is 225, 4 times 3 makes 12, times 2 makes 24, and it's all over 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay, so 225 take away 24 makes the square root of 201, and now it's time to pull out that calculator. So the square root of 201 is approximately 14.1774. We can now pull out our calculators and evaluate these one by one. Minus 15 plus 14 divided by 6, or minus 15 minus 14 divided by 6. We're going to get two solutions, both of which are negative, negative 0.14 rounded to 2 decimal places, or negative 4.86. Well, that's all we have time for in the video. If you've got any questions about what you saw today, you can contact me at mcclutchymass@yahoo.com. Well, that brings our quadratic playlist to an end. I hope you found it really helpful. I'm Natalie McClutchy. Have an amazing day.